today's Times, calls to ban the sharing of British citizens' personal information with China. Rogue researchers have been blamed after a huge data breach involving the private medical data of 500,000 people. Volunteers who'd given their data to UK Biobank were told their information had been put up for sale on a Chinese website. So how did that happen, and how can we prevent it happening again? Graham Stewart's a cybersecurity expert from the company Checkpoint. Good morning, Graham.
Good morning, Callum.
What I find fascinating about this is this, yes, involves 500,000 people, but it also involves thousands upon thousands of researchers who have been accessing this perfectly legitimately, but then actually fragments of the data have appeared all over the place anyway, in research papers, etc. I'm just trying to work out actually how big a problem this is.
It's a massive problem. It's interesting. It links to something you were just talking about around the sort of passkeys and security and things like that. The reality is this is depressingly familiar. The data that was held is obviously very valuable, but it's even more valuable en masse. So if you look at what we do in cybersecurity, the value of data is greater when you've got a large chunk of it. So your data, Callum, is of interest, but 500,000 people's data is massively of interest because you can make all kinds of inferences and it has a value to it. What appears to have happened here is they've just not bothered to lock this stuff down. And this stuff, you know, you're talking about passwords and passkeys earlier on. They don't appear to have followed some of the basic kind of tenets of cybersecurity. And someone's just waltzed in and nicked the whole lot. And it's really depressing because this kind of thing happens all the time.
In terms of the biobank, it's anonymous data. It's as we say, you know, it's a lot of people. I accept that, and it's not. I suppose maybe necessarily security related data. It's not names. It's not addresses. It's not that sort of stuff. In some ways, is this not the ideal hack as far as privacy is concerned?
Well, I don't think the people involved in stealing the data were what we would normally consider to be like a high-tech cyber gang. They just came in and waltzed in and appropriated the information. I have seen inference that actually there has been some information with personally identifiable stuff lifted from the database, but that's just an inference. But the reality of the situation is, this stuff has a value, otherwise they wouldn't do it. This does appear a bit like someone's a sort of slightly sort of amateur burglary, where they've just kind of sort of waltzed in, and this isn't like the cyber crimes you've seen over the last couple of years where they've done real damage. This does appear to be a bit sort of a bit amateur. To then stick it up on a sort of Chinese version of eBay this isn't the usual kind of MO. But the thing that is actually quite interesting about this is I saw a comment yesterday from the chief exec of Biobank saying, oh, it's okay, we've taken the information down now. And it's like, no, this stuff's been copied 100 times now, and it'll be all over the dark web, and you can start linking it to other bits and pieces, so and scraping data from other sources. This stuff has a real value, and like I said, it's depressingly familiar. I have to say, it's I spend my days talking about this, and organisations not nailing down their information and locking it up securely. But this does have all the hallmarks of one of the worst amateur burglaries, I'm afraid.
Which in some ways is reassuring, I suppose, as well.
Although you could view it like that, I suppose, yes.
Yeah. The other part of it, Graham, is that this is in the Times today, this is the 198th known exposure of UK Biobank data since last summer. It remains available online for anyone to download today. Researchers have in the past repeatedly and accidentally uploaded datasets to online code-sharing platforms, and many of these files are now replicated across the web. Nearly 200 since last summer.
Yep. And it's what the point is, those of us in the cybersecurity space, and let's reference it something you talked about earlier on, right? Our job is to make it as simple as possible to secure your information. So your passcode, your passkey, all of that kind of stuff. We need to make it as easy as possible. But we also do need organizations to actually put this stuff in place to protect it, because otherwise, if you leave the information open, it's just going to get stolen. And this is what happens. And this kind of shows a depressing lack of awareness among senior staff at UK Biobank in terms of actually understanding the value of what they've got and securing it properly, which is why you've got 200 thefts in the last 12 months. they've just not really thought through what they've got and the value of it. So. And again, this, I'm afraid, is the risk of repeating myself, depressingly familiar.
Yeah, I hear you, Graham. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. That is Graham Stewart from Checkpoint. Nick gets in touch to say, I joined UK Biobank in 2009. It's a wonderful scientific endeavour which will benefit future generations globally. The UK taxpayer has funded this effort. I see no reason why we shouldn't recoup this cost, if only on a not-for-profit basis. Only on a not-for-profit basis. Only on a not-for-profit basis. Only on a not-for-profit basis.